Alright, pretty straightforward problem here. Try it out. See what you can make of it. I'm going to solve it now. What is the inverse of A? Okay. Two ways to do this problem. The first way is what I'd call easy way. There's a formula where you could say the inverse is 1 over the determinant of the normal matrix, and then you take the switch the first and the you'd switch these two elements. This is for a 2x2 matrix. You'd switch the first two elements, so that'd be A4, A1, and then you'd make these negative. So this is still A3, and this is still A2, but they're both negative. So I'll show you what I mean by that now. I'll do it in red. So the determinant A is 2 times 1 minus 1 times 3. It's negative 1. So A inverse is equal to 1 over negative 1. A4 is 1. Negative A2 is just negative 3. Negative A3 is negative 1. And negative A1, or excuse me, A1 is 2. Now we would distribute this negative to all the elements. Negative 1, positive 3, 1, negative 2. And there's your answer. Okay, so the hard way, the cool thing about the hard way is you don't have to memorize any equation or any formula, whatever. What you do is you use row reduction. So you do A augmented, the identity matrix is going to convert to the identity matrix augmented with the inverse of A. That's just a principle because it's based on the fact that A times its inverse will result in the identity. So you use row reductions to do that. So let's do that. So the augmented matrix of AI is equal to, or actually no, well, yeah, that's what we do. Let's see, so it'd be 2, 3, 1, 1, and then you'd augment 1, 1, 0, 0. Now for the first reduction, you can do, you want to get this to become an identity. So we're trying to get the left side to become an identity. We want the left side to look like the right side right now. So 1/2 R1. We would have a 1 here, 3/2 here. This would be a 1/2, 0. Nothing happens to row 2. Same thing. Okay. So now we add negative row 1 to row 2. Negative row 1 plus row 2. So we would have a 1, 0, 3/2. Negative 3/2 plus 1 is going to be negative 1/2. Negative 1/2 plus 0 is negative 1/2. And 0 added to 1 is just 0. Okay, so now what do we need to do? We need to get this value to be 1, right? Whenever you do these, you want to start at the top left and then work your way down in this fashion. Like go down to the bottom corner and then kind of work from there. So multiply negative 2 to row 2 to get that 1 here. 1, 0, 3/2. This will be a 1 now. We're getting pretty close to the end. You can see it cleaning up. 1/2. This is a negative 2, so that would be a 1 as well. 0, and then a 1. Okay, so one last step. negative 3 halves row 2 plus row 1. So that'll eliminate this element here to be a 0. 1, 0, 1, 0. 1, negative 3 halves plus a half is going to be negative 2 or negative 1. Negative 3 halves plus a half, that's negative 1. And then, so, oh shit, I fucked up. This is supposed to be a negative 2. That's what I was looking. Because when you multiply negative 2 to 1, you get a negative 2. I skipped that one. This would again be a negative 2. This is still 0. Oh wait, it's 0 right now. Alright, so you have your negative 2 there. And then negative 2 times 3 halves plus 0. I'm just going to do this one on the side. Times negative 3 halves plus 0. So these 2's will cancel, the negatives will cancel, you'll be left with 3. So now you can see you have an identity here, and what's left will be the inverse. So a negative 1 is equal to negative 1, 3, 1, negative 2. And we could check that by looking back up. Negative 1, negative 2, 1, 3. Negative 1, negative 2, 1, 3, 1, whatever.